Today on Carpooling with Ben, I got a very special episode. You may have seen the time-lapse video that we shot earlier from Bags of Hope. Well, one of the co-founders of Bags of Hope joins me in the car today, John Gagne. John, Thanks for coming in and for telling us all about the amazing things you do. You're fresh off a nice little road trip down south, so we'll talk about that in just a few minutes. As a matter of fact, we just dropped your father off at the airport, so we're doing this on the way back. Airport security may have given us a little funny look when we were miking ourselves up. But John, talk to me about Bags of Hope and how you and your wife came to find this organization and really how it's built and how it's grown over the years.
Well, Bags of Hope really started because we got licensed to adopt, and it's something that we always wanted to do was adopt, and we just felt like we should just kind of weave that into our family as we're family's growing, that we will adopt along the way. And so we got licensed to adopt, and one of the things that while we're being licensed, we heard a story about how these children travel around from foster home to foster home with all their belongings and trash bags. And I was appalled by it, so I just kind of yelled out while she was in the middle of teaching, like, "There's no way, you know! And why do we do this?" And well,
that's where the term trash bag kids come from.
Yeah, so it's a common thing, and I guess she explained that logistically, how impossible it would be for social workers to be carrying around duffel bags or backpacks for all these kids, because they could be in one area of the state helping with something, a situation, and then have to go across the state to remove a child in an emergency situation, and how, again, logistically, it wasn't really,
wasn't
doable.
Really feasible,
wasn't doable for them, and also budget-wise. And everyone knows, there's always budget concerns in all different areas, and especially with the department, a lot of times they're running pretty tight when it comes to budget, and so how that just wouldn't work. So when we left the class, it's just something that always stuck with us. And of course, when we got placed with our first child, he had a trash bag full of belongings. And so my wife and I got in the car, Kim, and we were pulling out of the driveway, and I looked at her, she looked at me, and I was just like, we have to do something about this. And so later on that year, around Christmas time, we thought we would help some families that were in our church, and maybe families they knew in the community that had been fostering, and that we would give them a duffel bag with their name monogrammed on it and some Christmas presents in it. And so that year we expected we'd do about 30, and we did about 100.
Wow.
And then now 5 years later, we're doing 5,000 this year, and just in Massachusetts around, and 100 in Pensacola, Florida.
Right, because your twin brother lives in Pensacola. He's got a coffee shop down there, so he was able to kind of take it to the next step down there, and they had a number of donations down there, and also monetary donations that people made specifically for the Pensacola region.
Right, yeah. So when we went down there in April and kind of did the new employee training, and basically we kind of they have their team, and we went down there and again shared our vision again. So it was coming from us, and then kind of explained to them how the whole process goes. And then they had ornaments down there where people were technically sponsoring a child, but really the money from the ornament goes towards each bag. And so there were people that were go into his coffee shop, see it all set up, and he'd be able to explain to them, and they would then give to the project, and also online people would give and designate it to Northwest Florida. And so that's how we were able to move down into there. And it seems like going forward as well that there's other states that are interested. Next year looks like we'll be in Connecticut, Maryland, Michigan, and some other places that have shown some interest.
So the way it works is you guys get the information from the various agencies that work with foster care,
right?
And you get a name and an age and a gender, because some names, go either way. And the bags are these duffel bags are actually monogrammed with that child's name. Yeah,
so we contact the local offices, and we're getting to the point now in Massachusetts where they're contacting us.
Wow.
And saying, hey, you're doing this year, right? Well, here's my list of kids. And so each social worker has their caseload, and they give us the names of the children. So we get the first name, yes, the age and the gender. And then we take that list and, we check it twice, make sure the spelling is accurate. then there's a family in our church that owns Sandy Lane Sports in Warwick, and Frank and Sandy Kowalik, and they monogram each bag.
Wow.
Yeah, so this year they're monogramming 5,000 bags, and they monogram in the basement of that hockey shop. That's where they have all the machines set up, and they monogram them all. So they started actually this year. They started monogramming in September, and they monogram the bag, and then we get them back, and then we double check the name again, and then depending on their age, we put wrapped Christmas presents in each bag, and their age pretty much depicts what they're going to get in the bag. And so we like to do comfort items, like from babies, like a newborn blanket, and then we do pillow pets, and then those Fisher-Price glowworms, and then DVDs and books and fleece blankets and Nerf footballs and all this kind of stuff. So like Hasbro has helped us out a lot. Kohl's has helped us out a lot. There's a lot of companies that Puma. This year the teenage boys are getting Puma beanies. And so we just go to them and say, we want to purchase an item for these bags, and how can you help us?
Yeah.
And they've been awesome, and a lot of them, they help, discount the price or whatever, because we don't walk around looking for a handout.
Right.
We feel like it's important that that we raise the money and then purchase these items, and we don't just get whatever we can get. We use the best of everything. We want the best, because as if we were filling this bag for my own child, that's how we want to do it for these children as well.
Sure.
So they know that.
Well, it's a good quality product, and that's the whole goal. Is you're giving them a great quality bag with their name on it, something they can keep forever.
Yes.
They're getting items. I mean, and at the other day when we were in the workshop, essentially, you guys are even wrapping up personal items like toiletries and stuff that they need, and you wrap them up appropriately so they won't leak out if it's a fluid or something.
Yeah.
But these are the basic needs that you saw firsthand.
Yeah, well, just imagine like you go into a stranger's home, and everybody's telling you need to be comfortable there, but when you get there, you don't recognize anything, and sometimes there's even cases where you might have a Spanish-speaking child who speaks only Spanish, and he goes to a home and they speak only English, or you speak English and you go to a home and they're Haitian or whatever, and like there's already a lot of cultural dynamics. You could go into a Cambodian home and you don't know one word they're saying.
Right.
And there's already a lot of cultural dynamics that may take place as part of being in foster care. And then now you don't even know which one the soap or the shampoo is, and then it's not anything you're used to. And then, they're like, oh, this is your bed, but it's not your pillow. It's not your blanket. It's not your sheets. It's not your towel. It's like nothing there really actually belongs to you.
So these bags are full of items that, exactly what you said, will offer some level of comfort,
right,
and security, and more importantly, it's not a trash bag.
Right.
It's an actual bag that belongs to them. It has their name on it, which is something they may not. I mean, you played soccer as a kid. I played music, so we had those jackets that had our name on it, because we were very fortunate. Yeah. This is something they may never have even had before. So.
Well, and the thing about the trash bags too is it creates a level of it's underlying. Obviously, nobody is saying this to these children, but a lot of time it's like, well, what's important to me is in a receptacle that's normally used to throw out what's not wanted. Right. And then you can't help, if you're that child, you can't help but not feel that when you're just going from home to home to home to home, and even sometimes you're placed in a home with the promise that, hey, this may be your forever family, and then 6 months in, well, it's just not working. And then they throw your stuff back in a trash bag and you move on again.
Yeah, there's some certain psychological effects that happen.
Right,
with that.
And so what we want to do is try to bring a little bit of dignity into an unfortunate and oftentimes ugly situation where that's just the way that it is. That's just how foster care is, unfortunately. Yeah. And so we want to try to bring a little bit of dignity into that, and also tell these kids, like, you're not forgotten. You're loved, and there are people thinking about you and praying about you all year long. And so even though you're in a situation where you may feel unwanted, we want you to know that that's not the case. And again, try to bring a little dignity. I mean, the bag, in comparison to what they're going through, the bag is very insignificant. But we just want to convey that message to them. And we've gotten reports back that said that a lot of these kids do feel that. They do understand that, and in some circumstances, we've actually seen it reciprocated where that child, we've been able to meet some of them that have these bags, not knowing we were the ones that were giving it to them, and they were like, I know somebody loves me, and I can tell because of just how nice the stuff was in there. It was all wrapped. My name was on it. It was spelt right.
Well, I wanted to bring that up because you've brought it up a few times, and I think that's really an important point. You go back and you double check. Kim, your wife, is a nurse. She's through nursing school, they tell you to check,
Right.
2 and 3 times everything, all it, correct spelling, correct medications, and everything. So that level of detail right there and that attention to detail is just unbelievable.
Yeah, but it's not checked twice. It's checked like 10.
Right? Yeah.
10
No,
times,
absolutely.
yeah.
It's.
But we feel like that the most important part is that their name is spelt right.
Yeah.
Because how insincere, like, so a family member gives you a gift, like, oh, this my family gave me a gift, and then they didn't spell your name right.
Right.
You're like, are you serious? Like, you didn't even know how to spell my name?
No, that's such a great and an important point. So you've had a lot of support from a lot of great local organizations. You've mentioned Hasbro. I know Shamrock Financial. They recently had a party.
Thrivent.
Yeah.
Thrivent Financial Services. For a couple of years now, they've brought a team to wrap the gifts and stuff, and then that night when they come, they bring food for everyone that's working.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and so a lot of other, Kohl's has been awesome, and this year they actually have a team coming to wrap presents because we've indirectly worked with them for the last few years because they sell a $40 fleece blanket that on Black Friday is $7.
Yeah.
So the first year, my phone rings and it was about 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm at home with the kids, and Kim calls me. I need you to load up the kids to get the Kohl's right now. I'm like, is everything okay? Yeah, I'm laying on a pile of blankets and I can't get up because I don't want people to take them. It's exactly what we need. So the manager comes over and says, is everything okay? And she's like, yeah, I need all these blankets and we're doing a project, and explain to her. And she says, well, we'll just take them to the front so you don't have to lay here. And
it was probably the first chance Kim had to get a nap.
Yeah, yeah. So at that point,
in the peace and serene setting of Black Friday.
Yeah, and
at Kohl's.
Yeah, at Kohl's. So from that moment on, like the next year, Kim walked in and one of the girls says, hey, you're that lady from that project. And she's like, yeah. And then she goes, let me get my manager. And from that moment on, they've worked with us now. We pre-order all the amount of blankets we need through this Kohl's location in Seekonk.
Oh, that's great.
And they just keep them on pallets in the back of the stock room. And then we go in and purchase it through them, and they give us the Black Friday price, which has been awesome because it helps. It's a $40 blanket, and we're trying to keep the cost of the bag down to $25.
Right.
So then it's like $7.99 per blanket, and it really helps us with our budget as far as making sure we have the best quality stuff filled in this bag for only $25, including the bag and the monogramming.
That's unbelievable. I mean, the bag alone, with the monogram is usually, a price beyond that. Some other great local companies. I know Cardi's Furniture has been involved with you guys in the past.
Yeah.
You've had support from other local establishments, and the other, like you said, Kohl's coming with their team to do some wrapping and stuff. So there's different ways that you can get involved. The best thing to do is obviously, and the easiest thing to do is to go to the website. You can make a monetary donation. You can buy a bag. You can buy 20 bags. You can buy 100 bags if you feel so.
Or 5,000 bags.
5,000 bags if you feel so inspired.
Yeah.
Get it in now before that before the end of the year, so you get that write-off. But there's that element. You can actually choose where your donation is going to go, and as you bring more states on, you can either choose a specific area or just to fill the need. So that's important because people want to know that their money's going specifically where it is, intentional giving.
Right.
Or they can reach out and connect with you guys through the Facebook page or the website, and actually set up a time to come volunteer when you're having these various parties. So folks, head over to the links there, find out where you can get involved with Bags of Hope. It's a very great, worthwhile organization, and be sure to check back because we'll actually have another time lapse of filling the bags, and I'm real excited about that because that's going to be that's going to be a fun night.
Yeah, it's funny because we're actually next to Outback Steakhouse in Seekonk, and one night, so a couple of the employees are just standing outside of the takeout door, and I see them peeking around the corner into the windows at everything that's going on, and I'm walking into the front door, and I just kind of like glance over and look at them while they're doing it. They're just kind of peeking into the window. And one of the girls says, it's like Santa's workshop in there. And it really is, it's like we're wrapping all these gifts for these kids. And,
sure.
and just to see how well it's been accepted and received by the social workers and by the states. And really, it's phenomenal, and I feel like it's really beginning to heal a relationship that's with the community and the department, and with local churches in the department. We have 40 churches partnering with us this year.
Wow.
To see this thing done, and I think that it's our responsibility to take care of these kids that are not able to take care of themselves. And a lot of times, the parents aren't bad parents. There's a lot of situations where it's like unfortunate circumstances or even something outside of their control that has forced their kids to enter into the care. And our job is not only to support these kids or these social workers, but also the families as well. And we want healthy families in our community. And so as part of this, the larger picture and the larger message of Bags of Hope is that there are children in foster care. There's lots of them. And just in Massachusetts and Rhode Island alone, there's 10,500 roughly. But on top of that, there's also hundreds of kids that are waiting to be adopted, where the parental rights have been terminated and they're legally free for adoption. And they're sitting in a group home or a foster home waiting for a family to say, you know what, you're important to me, I love you. We're not just filling a need in our family by getting another kid, but we want to know that we love you, and it's important that you're a part of our family.
That's so
And
great.
so, through Bags of Hope so far, we've had about 40 kids that have been fostered and a dozen or so that have been adopted by families directly related to Bags of Hope, that through this project, they then have now gone out and been licensed to foster and adopt.
It
and
introduces them to the process.
Yeah,
That's
and
great.
they see the need when you're standing in a room and the bags are stacked up as tall as you are, and it's not just a bag or a name. Though each bag represents a child, and you realize the massive need that we have as a society that we like to kind of hide by putting them in foster care, because you can walk by them and Stop and Shop and they just walk by you and you don't think anything of it.
Right.
Whereas 50 years ago, you see the little kid running down the sidewalk with the ragged clothes and you're like, oh, that's an orphan.
Right.
But nowadays they're more integrated to our families, into our culture, into our society. They're being clothed and fed and they're getting an education, but really the biggest need is in their heart. They want to be accepted somewhere, and they want to be safe, and they want to be loved. And so I think that's our broader message, is that there is a need, and it's our job to make sure we meet that need.
That's so great. Well, there's a lot of important meanings that go into it, and especially this time of year. But no matter what, if you're inspired to do something, please head over to the website, learn more about them. John, thanks for joining me in the car today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, well, let's go wrap some more presents.
All right, sweet. Let's go.